back to the Forge of Champions. After the break, I did set these guys some homework. How have you done with that homework? It was only 3 minutes that I gave you, but I need to know how you got.
I also needed a bathroom break.
I kind of left it at home. You know.
Yeah.
Did your dog eat it?
Yeah.
Well,
no, realistically, I actually think if I'm looking out for someone on Hyperion, I think it is Demo. He's been, like, we kind of been flogging the junglers a lot today, but he's had big standout performances on Rengar. He had a big standout performance on Italy as well. So I think if someone on Hyperion is to step up and kind of take over the game, I think it'll be this guy.
Yeah, I think Demo for me is an interesting jungler, and not interesting as an interesting jungler, as in genuinely interesting. I kind of want to sort of basically say that when I first saw Demo come on to the Premiership scene, he crushed everybody like on his Lee Sin, absolutely schooled some kids, and it was good. And then he kind of just dropped off. Like, his Lee started getting banned. He wasn't kind of the stand-up jungle I was expecting him to be. However, in a carry jungle meta where we can have carry jungles, this is something that I think Demo will thrive in. And I do think versus Monkeys, he's going to have his hands full.
I think the biggest problem right now is that, like, where do you fit a composition around Demo, or does Demo fit into your composition with everybody else?
Yeah,
and I think that the Hyperion are going to have to figure out for themselves, because yes, you can carry from jungle, but right now in the meta, it's kind of all about the bot lane and mid lane in the sense of, like, you know, the Vladimirs, the Swains, and the kind of, you know, the carry potential you can get with those AoEs.
But I think it is kind of Hyperion play the style of, no, this is what we want to do, and this is the way we're going to play. Like, DanXD, big Poppy player, he was picking it all of last Premiership. Now we're moving into this, and as we're seeing pretty much the same thing. He's picked it up a couple of times as well. So this is kind of the way that these guys play it, is that it's like, no, this is our style, this is the way we work best, and this is what we're going to run with. And if that's Demo picking up the carry junglers and being the one getting the kills, it's going to be the one that works for them.
So let me give you, it's probably going to be a tough question. I want to know some strengths and weaknesses of both of these teams. I want you to tell me Hyperion and Enclave, where are their strengths, where are their weaknesses, and how that might play into each other. This is a tough question. You could probably write an essay in this time.
I was gonna say.
But like,
this is really hard homework. I wasn't ready for this.
I'm not an easy
I finished
host.
college a while ago.
Actually, guys, what's your favorite flavor? Ice cream?
Oh, we're going back to that.
There we go.
What was the other one? It was the toilet paper that they were talking about as well a couple of casts ago.
I don't know, mate. We don't talk about it. Yeah. So let me give you the easy questions. How's your day been?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been nice, actually.
Yeah.
We went for lunch.
We did.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
We went in the swimming pool.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
Yeah. Oh, great. Oh, guys.
Yeah, I did it.
Well done. Best analyst, yes. No, seriously, give me an answer.
Yeah, I think realistically, I think there's a couple of shining lights on the side of Enclave. Rift, and obviously Bendy's coming across from Optic Gaming. So Rift has been incredibly strong. Even we were talking about it in the last game, where one of the matchups that Flax has struggled with was when Rift got the Darius, and he's incredibly strong on that champion. So I think this is something that DanXD can struggle with. I really want to see Dan bring out something that isn't just tanks and Poppy, and he's been shoehorned into these champions over and over again, and I want to see if he's got something else. I said it for quite a while now, and I think if he doesn't, it's going to be so easy for Rift to just take over that lane. And then on the bottom side of the map as well, Bendy is a phenomenal player. He's actually been, so he's on Optic Academy, now he's come over here, he's been playing very well. He's been well versed on these like non-traditional bot laners as well. I've been looking at his op.gg. He's been picking up like Heimerdinger. There's the Swain Fiddlesticks they've been messing around with as well. So he's going to have a lot that he can play with, and I don't know if Snuggly and Yusa are really ready for this.
Luckily, due to picks and bans, BP gets bailed out of the hard question.
We copied homework.
Okay.
I was like low key, just being like.
I was gonna make a really bad Irish joke there, but I'm not. I mean, Husker might be watching. But anyway, let's get into picks and bans. It is going to be Rise banned. It's going to be Nocturne banned as well. So we're seeing a lot of Nocturne bans coming across the board here, and now Enclave also dealing with a Swain ban thrown at them. Again, this is not too out of place what we've seen across the current meta and also the games, but that is something that definitely throws the boat out there a bit. I think this is targeted towards Snuggly specifically. I know he likes to play Morgana. Recently, I think I saw Treats. Do you know Treats? I think he's a mid laner. Yeah. He recently came out on Twitter and said, I think Morgana bot lane is useless. Like, I just don't. I mean, I don't really see the point of it. I think they were just better picks overall. So, you know, a lot of people have differing opinions when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the Talia ban coming through, and that is going to be a Zoe first pick for Hyperion. That's going to be ADM, who is honestly probably one of the most impressive players, I think, from Hyperion. Going to get his hands on Zoe now. And Gosu, how do you think you respond here?
I think you just go. I mean, you've seen the pinch on the jungler already, so Monkus is that big tank player, so I wouldn't be surprised to see the Sejuani locked in. It's kind of similar to what we saw from our last game as well. So I think you go with that and then try and secure yourself something for, well, I was going to say an ADC position, but Yasuo is something that can definitely work down there if necessary.
It can go anywhere, really, the Yasuo, for sure.
The other thing is, there it is, please do it. Please. Don't mess with me like that. But I was going to say as well is that you're also going to be looking at the Vladimir is also open as well, which has been kind of a big champ for Aaron, so maybe they decide to go towards that. But
debated.
They obviously heard your great analysis.
Don't want this
anymore. It throws away notes. What I find quite curious though is that we very, very rarely, and it's a very minor thing, but we very rarely see Aatrox ban blue side. He's normally one of those like super OP champions that you play him mid lane, top lane, doesn't really matter, and he's super, super strong. You know, obviously Hyperion are not comfortable with that champion on their own team.
Yeah, exactly.
And they literally do not want to give it over to the other one.
We already talked about it. Dan XD, he doesn't play like a huge amount of champions. Why we've seen him go time and time again back to Poppy. So I'm not surprised to see them just leave like a bunch of top lane champions open, and then it means that when it gets to the second ban rotation, or second pick rotation even, they can just lock in a counter pick, and then Rift just takes over the game from the top lane. Absolutely.
I think this draft is definitely going to be centered around Rift and his ability. Although we could see Rift pilot the Yasuo in a certain scenario, that's definitely something that we could get our hopes up for, but right now you think it's going to be between Aaron and Rift.
Don't get your hopes up with Enclave, they just dash them every time, so
it's
not worth it.
Once bitten, twice shy.
So I think right here a support pick would be good for Enclave, or a jungle pick. I think if you give away all of your potential solo lanes in one foul swoop in the first section, you're going to be struggling, and I think, there we go, the Alistair. I mean, you've got the second best thing next to a Braum with the Lucian. These are just two solid, standard bot lanes as well, by the way. Just very standard compositions coming out right now.
Yeah, and it also sets up, if wherever this Yasuo is going, if it's for Rift, if it's for Aaron, sets them up incredibly well.
Yeah.
We saw it already where Quickset got that big engage with Venzer, and they just kind of were able to snowball the game like that. So I'm not surprised to see the Alistair locked in. You just want something to enable this Yasuo and just prolong the CC. So even when Yasuo hasn't really hit his power spike and isn't dealing the damage that he wants, he's still incredibly useful in these team fights because he's locking up multiple members for extended periods of time.
I assume this is going to be Yasuo mid, by the way, just because of the matchup into Zoe. I would assume.
I would assume, but I do see a world where you throw the Lucian mid and have Yasuo, Alistair bot lane.
I would.
I mean, I wouldn't be averse to it. Although it's definitely something on the cards. There's a lot of jungle focus here because neither junglers have picked up their champions as of yet. Nidalee and Kindred against Demo, like you said, had standout performances on the carry-style junglers. Demo looking like, I think if I were them, I'd ban Sejuani. If that were me, I would ban Sejuani, knowing that Monkus plays a good Sejuani, and it's just a really solid pick that doesn't give away too much.
So the thing is as well, we already said it, that Demo has, you were talking about carry, like he had that brilliant Rengar game.
Yeah.
So if, they end up banning with the Mundo, but it still means that there's the option there to go for something like that is just kind of take over the game and see if you can go for it. I mean, yes, you've got like the Yasuo in the mid lane that does well into Zoe, but if you land a triple bubble and Rengar just walks to you, it kind of helps out a bit. So it'd be interesting to see how this goes.
Do you just pick the Sejuani? Yeah, I mean,
it
you have to. I mean, it has to be. This is why I thought you ban it, because it's so good for Monkus. It fits into this composition nicely, gives it a front line, sets up for the Alistair Yasuo, and you're still in this kind of weird limbo stage where you don't actually fully know where the Yasuo is going right now for Enclave. So they have this beautiful flex where now the top lane pick is, you're not quite sure about what's going up against you. I think you assume that the Yasuo is going to be going mid, so you try and draft something that is decent into Yasuo, but decent against a lot of other things. I would maybe be thinking about Renekton, because I think it's just got so many good matchups.
He's just defaulted to Poppy every time. Actually could end up bringing out the Camille, but I like the Trundle just because it kind of takes away the tankiness of the Sejuani, but they do need something that can offer engage right now.
Yeah, there's plenty of options right now, as you can see. No shortage of champions on Snuggly's account as he cycles through a lot of them. But yeah, I would be Oh, well, of course, yes. I mean, if I'd put a 5 on it before the draft, I probably would have come out with a 5 because it is because it is Dan XD playing Poppy. No one would have thought otherwise, and Poppy's got decent matchups into a lot of things. I think if I were Rifty, I actually don't think this is a bad matchup for the Darius.
Yeah,
I think I'd be just saying, well, Darius is open. It's a good matchup for me. We know Rifty plays an absolutely mean Darius. I mean, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Dunk him down.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the setup that's coming through for Enclave as well now. So you've got the super strong split pusher and the Darius that should just completely obliterate Dan XD in that top lane. Now you've also got very strong setup in these team fights because Darius is a champion that can definitely join in. He just needs something to enable him. And with all the CC that's coming through from Sejuani, from the Alistair, with the Yasuo to back him up, Darius will be able to get into the thick of things and just take over if he is far ahead after this top lane.
Yeah, as you can see, the only issue with Enclave is that they are all AD. So obviously that's easy itemization for Poppy in the top lane. So she can very easily just build her way to massive amounts of armor, as can Trundle to an extent, where there is that mixed damage that comes through from Hyperion here. Obviously, Yasuo gets natural armor pierce, so obviously he's going to have that ability to burst through, but it is easy at defensive itemization right now.
There's also a lot of true damage that's coming through, though, because Darius has the passive that gives him the true damage. Yasuo is also going to be picking up that Infinity Edge after the change, now gives that true damage too, so it's not like you're going to really, like, yes, you get beefy, yes, you get some sort of safety to it, but there's still a lot of true damage that can come through, so it's not the worst side of the world, but it's definitely something that they're going to have to watch out for.
All right, let's reflect back on win conditions then. Not ice cream flavors, I'm afraid. So, yeah. Let's reflect back on win conditions here. Hyperion, Enclave, Gosu, what do they need to do to win this game?
So I think if you're on the side of Hyperion, it's kind of just babysit Dan XD in the top lane. Make sure that Rift doesn't become that big, obnoxious Darius, and you've got that safety then, because in theory, ADM is a great player, should be able to hold his own against Aaron. The other thing, though, just on Aaron, one thing is that he goes very aggressive and has a tendency to go a little bit over-aggressive. So if you're there on demo to try and counteract that, there's definitely something there for you. Could end up finding a win in that situation. So I think if I'm on demo, I'm looking towards the top side of the map at least. On the opposite side, for Enclave, it's just like teamfight. We just want to all-out brawl 24/7. Lucian stronger than Ezreal early game. Yasuo can try and do more in team fights than Zoe to a certain extent. So just brawl.
So the Hyperion combo that I see here between Zoe and Ezreal is very similar, in fact identical to that damage combo that we saw coming out from Diabolus that did win them the game. They have to have that level of execution when it comes to skill shots and picking off members on the outside of team fights, because what they can do against what is essentially a heavy melee composition that will be running at you is you can look to pick people off. I think Yasuo absolutely shuts down Zoe though in the right situations with a good win wall, and that will shut off some of that pick potential. So I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult to call, but I'm just looking at Hyperion, Enclave, because I just think they're better players, and that's sometimes going to cloud my judgment when it comes to strict compositional dissection.
I was going to say the biggest kind of thing that I see is that, like, if you look on the side of Enclave, a lot of their engage are from dashes, are from movements, and Steadfast Presence stops that in its tracks. So if Poppy can get in the front, in front of everybody else, and stop the Yasuo dash, stop the headbutt pulverize, you know, kind of combination, that a lot of their kind of like all of a sudden go in, then you have a Darius in the backline who's like, where's my team gone? And it's like, that's where I feel like Hyperion can really make this Poppy work, and I feel like, it's like you said, kind of doubling down on your point, if they can make sure that Dan XD gets through the laning phase in relatively equal, maybe even a little bit behind, then they're in a very good place for those team fights, because obviously that's what the side of Enclave want to do.
Even if he starts to build armor though, if you look at the build path for Lucian, often includes Black Cleaver. Obviously Yasuo does, like we know, gets natural armor pierce, gonna get some of that true damage. Darius is gonna dunk for true damage, so I mean, and Poppy's not exactly the most naturally scaling tank. She doesn't have the highest natural scaling health stats, so she can get dunked pretty quickly. I would be worried as Poppy on the front line about how long you'd actually survive, even if you're trying to Steadfast Presence, because if you're going to Steadfast Presence engages, you have to be on the front line to do that. And that's where I'd be worried for Dan. I don't think he's going to survive the laning phase versus Rifty, personally, but I also think if he's on the front line, he's also going to be a sitting duck for what is essentially quite a high armor shred team.
If they can get through that laning phase, though, they do have a nice sneaky combo with the Trundle Pillar and the Poppy as well. So if they can not get ahead, but just come out somewhat unscathed, they can definitely try and move forward and take these team fights. And as you're saying, they got great poke there. They can definitely play these team fights out and against a composition that relies pretty much on getting ahead, which is Enclave. If they don't get ahead, they just fall behind to the armor. Yes, you get the true damage, but it's a bit down the line for the Yasuo on that, so they really are relying on this early game going well. If you can shut that down, there's definitely a chance of Hyperion coming in with the upset.
You're just going to nod? You're going to
I want them to win. Hyperion hype train. But yeah, I agree with you. I think a lot of our judgment is clouded by the fact that, like, you know, we look at Enclave's players and we see very shiny borders and very big numbers in terms of challenger, solo queue, or master tier or anything like that. And obviously Hyperion, you know, had a slightly easier route towards the finals than, you know, say, or to the semifinals than, you know, some other teams. And, you know, this would probably be the first big challenge for them. But I feel like, you know, this, like I said earlier, the Croatia run, this is when you kind of step up. This is when you turn around to everybody else and go, no, this is the team we're going to go for. If they win this one, I feel like Enclave are very much on the back foot, but they have a lot of ifs and buts to go through.
Yeah, I just think a lot of it for me is going to come down to the solo lanes. I think that the bot lanes should be able to stay even with the matchups they've got. They're both super sort of relaxed matchups where they're just going to farm it out. Even with the Alistair-Lucian combo, Braum just shuts down a lot of engages so easily by himself. So I'm looking towards these solo lanes. Can Iran get ahead of versus ADM? Is ADM going to be safe versus this Yasuo, not give him too much of a lead? How much can you protect DanXD from the Rifty dominance, which we've seen time and time again from the laning phases? That's where I'm sort of training my eye. And then it comes to Demo. You know, can Demo impact the lanes enough? Can Demo be that kind of jungler that we feel like he should have been 2 years ago when he first made his opening onto the Premiership scene? This is a test for Hyperion, I think. A test which, if they don't pass, they will still feel like they're down there at the 5th to 6th team in the UK, which is not where you want to feel like you are, you know, comparing against the big boys every week when you come to these sort of Forge of Champions tournaments. Whereas for Enclave, they had a rough first tournament, really rough first tournament. This is now their chance to go on and win the whole thing. Both of them have individual motives here. Hyperion want to prove themselves, Enclave wants some sort of redemption, and to show that they themselves are up there with Diabolus and XL.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. I think a lot of, you know, investment from pretty much every team in the UK scene has really come in now. You're seeing massive upgrades in pretty much every team across the board, even like kind of the smaller newcomers like Phelan and stuff like that. So it's crunch time. It's time for these teams to really show that, you know, the time, the money, the effort has been worth it, and that they are able to kind of, kind of sit on top with the big boys like XL and Diablos.
And don't forget, because Diablos have now been knocked out as well, if we're looking at those points, this is a big chance for these guys to grab what they're missing out on, because they didn't do so hot in that first one. So now that they have the opportunity to really go for the final, go for the win, and pick up that 5,500 points, that could be monumental for these guys.
Yeah, it's a huge amount on the line right now, and again, if you win this tournament, you set yourself up for almost guaranteed top 8 for the grand finals. I think any team that wins a tournament is actually guaranteed a spot almost in sort of the top 8. So I think even if you did colossally badly over the next few tournaments, you'd also be almost 100% certain to make that top 8 grand finals. But as you can see, we are onto Summoner's Rift. We are into the game, and ADM and Iran already battling up here. We're on the blue side, we've got not Diabolus and not XL. It is going to be Hyperion on the blue side and Enclave on the red. BP and Gosu, take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much, Xscoundrel. And like you said, we are going to have Hyperion on the blue with Enclave on the red. Hopefully we'll get that changed very quickly to stop any kind of, confusion as such. And we see already pretty standard setups from both sides. No one really taking a huge advantage, apart from kind of, Aaron in that mid lane pushing it in.
Yeah, we should be able to pick up a nice bit of CS for ADM. As you can see, the minions are just hitting onto the turret now, so it won't be too bad. But I'm trying to see where these junglers are going to go, because right now you can see that Sejuani is clearing out that Rift Scuttle up on the top side of the map, and instead you can see that Demo has decided that he's going to go for that bottom side. So a bit of a difference here. So what I'm looking at whenever I see a team take a Scuttle Crab on whatever side of the map it is, they're kind of like, look, this is where we want our vision, this is where we want our control, because these are the guys that we see as trying to get an advantage, or at least keep them safe. And that's why you can see that it's Bimunkas who's getting the Scuttle Crab on the top side of the map, because they want to enable Rift to make sure that they got the vision control, so then there's no way Demo can try and sneak up and disrupt this DanXD and Rift matchup.
See, now you see Sejuani kind of crawling herself back up to that top side, trying to dodge as many wards as she can. See if she can get something going for her Darius in that top side, because like you said, this Darius can snowball, can get to that obnoxious level of just absolutely crazy levels of, you know, damage and true damage onto this Poppy, and see how Hyperion, you know, kind of deal with that. As an Enclave, they are, like, I suppose that kind of like something we didn't really talk about as such was that, like, Enclave coming into this, they are the expected victors.
Yeah.
So with that comes a little bit of pressure. There's no pressure on Hyperion. They can still leave knowing that they came, you know, fourth in the, you know, at minimum fourth in the kind of, you know, the tournament, which is fantastic achievement for them and for their points tally. Whereas Enclave, if they don't win, that's a massive loss for them.
Yeah, I'm looking at this top lane matchup though, and Dan XD is scaring me a little. he's taking,
not in a good way.
No, can you? Well, I suppose roller coasters and stuff. I was gonna say, can you be scared in a good way? But
they're thrilling.
The problem, okay.
Yeah.
I'll work on my adjectives, but the thing is that, like, you're taking this amount of damage early, and Rift.
I think he's dead. I think the bleed might be enough to take him out. 2, 1. Yep, there it is. Enough ticks. Both flashes burn, and first blood goes over to Rift.
That was thrilling. Really, it was just thrilling. I mean, it was just out. Like, I don't know why you're pushing up this far, as Dan XD. He had a chance to try and freeze that underneath the turret. He doesn't go for it, and Rift is just punishing him so heavy. We talked about Rift, the Darius player. Point proven.
Yeah, there it goes. Bleed tick down. Just a very nice kind of, you know, understanding of damages as such, and that is not going to feel good if you're on the side of Hyperion. They really need to make sure that they are not getting caught out with those kind of setups at all. And I feel like Dan is like complete, like that was a complete nonchalant kind of walk up as well. Like he just stood there and kind of said, "Okay, cool, I'm going to take this wave," and it was like, "No, you're not." And it's like, "Oh." Damn it.
You're right. I can't take this way.
How did he know?
That's several hours of darkness there for you. But, at least 12.
Yeah.
But, this is the thing. I mean, it's so hard to go up against. Not only are you going up against Enclave, which have been touted as the favourites over and over again, but you're also going up against a guy like Rift, who has been a carry performer over and over again for Enclave, and you've just given him another kill. You're down in CS, and this is not where you want to. Oh, actually, Aaron, nice trade onto ADM, but not really going to be able to do too much with. But as I was saying, Rift is a guy that can most certainly take over a game. You've just given over a kill. We're already talking about the split push pressure that can come down. You're just hurting Hyperion so much with giving that kill over.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is that it's, you know, fair enough if Monkus comes up and assists with a kill, that's one thing. But a solo kill with no jungle pressure, that just opens up so many avenues for the, you know, Enclave jungler to really push out and try and make other advantages.
And that's where I'm curious to see if Monkus is going to go up towards top. He is hovering up on that side. We'll have Taxer there, but they can just dive this. They have a huge amount of damage that can come down very quickly, a lot of lockup, and Dan XD hasn't hit that level 6 point, so he's not able to just shove them back over. They will find Taxer though, so maybe not the best point for a dive.
Yeah, we'll get the stun. Both stuns landed as the Poppy does get the heroic charge. And use the blast cone as Monkus takes the not so nice trade off of that, and honestly, you know, nice read from the side of Hyperion. Was in the right place at the right time.
I don't even think it was a read. I think it was just luck, because right now they don't have vision to kind of go, oh yeah, cool, I know where he is. I've seen him on the bottom side of the jungle. Now he has to be up top side. It was just a case of they wandered into each other, and it's kind of a lucky break for Hyperion, because look at the vision control right now. All I can see is pretty much just red wards, apart from that one ward that's always just placed up into the red side jungle towards that blue buff. So realistically, it's all in Enclave's control, and they have one very defensive ward by their own blue if you're looking at Hyperion side.
Yeah, we'll see how that vision kind of, you know, changes throughout the game. It is very key to know where your opponents are going and where they will be as Demo picks himself up his red buff. Pink ward going to be used to take away that ward, and they're going to pick up themselves a honey bloom? Is it honey blossom?
Honey blossom.
Honey blossom fruit, that's what it is. As we see Aaron and ADM just kind of trading right now. Aaron picking himself up a little bit of CS lead, but it's not really massive.
It's not, but it's kind of across the board. I mean, you've got a 15 CS lead in the top lane. Now you're looking at, you know, a 6 CS lead in the mid. You've got almost a 10, well, say 8 CS lead in the mid lane, or in the bottom lane as well even. So it's not big, but it's just, if you are on the side of Demo and you've brought up the scoreboard, you're like, I haven't had an impact, and everyone is slowly falling behind, and you got to start to feel that pressure boiling, being like, I have to find some lane to impact.
Yeah, as we see, a little bit of trickery coming out here from ADM. Going to take the trade. As I say that, though, top side is going to have the Glacial Fissure, or Glacial Prison even used onto DanXD. Still has no flash. Gets dunked, bleeds out, and it's actually Zoe who picks himself up a kill. ADM getting himself a nice little assist as well. With Demo in that mid lane.
Yeah, you could see how close that was, though, and Demo was able to get in and help out just in time before ADM fell flat. But it was going to be a kill traded back and forth, and I was just saying Demo needed to try and get in and influence some lane, has managed to get it in that mid lane, but I think DanXD going down again. Look at that CS, 74 to 43, and it's only 9 minutes into the game.
It's a bit harrowing, shall we say, if you're looking up that and you're a Hyperion fan, as it does not look good. And the fact that he gets the Ninja Tabi right now, you can see he's going towards his Triforce. He's got the Phage, so much going in his favor. He's a full half item pretty much ahead of the the Poppy, and Demo's got to find the situation where he's able to impact that top side, because the more they just kind of feed into Rift, the more it's just going to hurt them later. Yeah, and don't forget as well that we're looking at like pretty heavy spikes on the side of Enclave that are coming in around about the same time. You're going to have the Triforce coming in for Darius, you're going to have the Triforce coming in for the Yasuo, the Blade of the Ruined King coming through for the Lucian. Like, these are all big item breaks that they can start looking for fights around that Mountain Drake, look for fights in around that Rift Herald, and they most certainly should be the ones who are picking up the wins in those scenarios. We are going to look at that gank in the top lane, though. Good ult come through from Munkus, and DanXD has nowhere to go. And I thought Rift was going to pick up the kill, but you can see it's just the burn from, was it the Smite or from the Cinderhulk? I wasn't sure, but anyway, Cinderhulk, yeah, end up picking up the kill on that one. Yeah, not exactly what you want to be seeing on the top side, and it always feels a little bit sore from the top laner. Don't you go like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna ward, it's gonna be grand, and then like out of nowhere, it's just like, and it doesn't matter that I warded because he was there anyway. So it is very frustrating. But like we said, this is the mid lane one as well. But very close in the mid lane as well.
Yeah, it's actually kind of clutch that ADM managed to pick up the redemption, because you're going to see the heal that can come through and the damage that's going to come down onto Aaron. And with how low ADM went, this could have been a very different story. Like, Trundle comes in and gets enough of a disrupt that you can't get... Oh, actually, it was the stopwatch that saved him there, but that was incredibly close. And if there was no redemption available, that was a completely different game.
Yeah, it really was. We see now more pain and more gain for Rift as he does force the flash out again. There's just no, rest from this, kind of constant damage coming out from the Darius, constant harass. It's just so upsetting for a Hyperion player.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it already. DanXD has just been so predictable in champ select that it means it's easy for Enclave to leave open these big top lane champions like that Aatrox and not have to worry about it, because we know, oh, okay, well, Hyperion don't play it, so we can just pick it up, or they're forced to ban it anyway. So confidence for Enclave in this top lane matchup, confidence coming through from Rift, and DanXD is finding himself on the wrong end of that Darius axe every single time.
What I don't understand, and it kind of comes from a pick and ban kind of setup, is that if you know you're going into champ select and DanXD is going to pick Poppy, like it's just going to happen, why not ban things like the Darius? Why not ban, like you ban the Mundo, and I feel like the Darius does so much more against you. Yes, the Mundo is annoying and it will become like ridiculously hard to deal with later in the game, but it's still dealable with in lane, and you can steal the stats with it with the Trundle as well. So I just feel like the Darius is just one of those things that they feel like, they could just get rid of, but they decide not to.
Well, you'll have to see if they do answer that question in the second draft for the second game. But right now, still in game one, still DanXD struggling on this Poppy pick, and still Demo trying desperately to get up there to help him out, just to stop the dive. They know that he doesn't have the... Oh, they found him.
They haven't. Recall just comes in, but that's going to be first turret, almost certainly going over to the side of Enclave on the red side. And that's not what you want to see at 11 minutes or 11 and a half minutes.
No, they're going to be the top lane going down. They can just back towards Rift Herald as well. You can see that there's vision control entirely in that top side jungle, so they know that there's no jungler up on that side of the map. So they pretty much got free roam as to what they want to do with Rift right now. And I think I'd probably... Actually, hang on a second. We're going to see Aaron going to get... Oh, nice.
Oh, Aaron gets the knock-up. Sejuani comes in for the assist, and that is going to be a dead Zoe. Snugly trying his best to keep the Braum away. Actually, Trundle comes into the mid lane. as Ezreal tries to jump in on top of Bendy. But Trundle now in a very compromised position, does have to use his Pillar of Ice to try and get away.
Rift is there though.
Yeah, Rift is there, needs to be careful. He's actually going deeper into the jungle. You can see this now. He's just giving them the complete runaround because nobody's really dealing with him as such. Alistair's going to play Gatekeeper though and try and catch him on the way out.
Yeah, the teleporter's coming through from Poppy as well. They might be looking to fight this instead.
Yeah, actually it's going to be the flash actually invested there from BD, or Bendy even, as we see now. Here comes Hado and Rift is huge, gets a double apprehend, and now Bendy can come back into the
don't
fight.
hit him that way.
Rift goes straight in, and there's Demo trying to take something here, but he doesn't have enough. Double kill. Maybe they try go for more right now, as Monk is forced to flash, will not be able to. Oh, that's going to be the dunk, but doesn't have the full stacks, but he apprehends him right
Rift
back into it. Rift 4-0-1 with the triple kill. They do end up losing Monkiss, but in the end, Rift is massive right now.
I need a shower after that apprehend. That was filthy. Straight over the wall, back in for the triple kill. And we were talking about Darius being a problem. How about 3 more kills?
Yeah, that is the kind of the sad thing there, and it's the apprehend. It wasn't even like the apprehend was the big thing, but we'll have a quick look at the replay now because Bendy looks like he's been caught out.
I like this from Hyperion. It's like, look, it's a bad situation. Let's see if he can try and turn some of this around, catch on to Bendy. And in theory, you're like, great. We've got something we can make here, but Rift ends up teleporting in. You've already got Hado again, as you're saying, playing Gatekeeper. I got a little bit worried where you end up throwing a demo onto Bendy, but even then you can just see there was no way for them to get through. Monkiss is able to keep people occupied long enough for the rest of Enclave to get here. Great ult coming through as well. Keeps them slow just long enough, and Rift straight back over the wall, and it's just easy pickings for Enclave.
I feel like that breaks Twitch's terms of use. Like I feel like that's something that's not allowed. Like it's just not fair. But overall, it's a 3,500 gold lead, little less in favor of Enclave. As we see now, DanXD trying his very, very best, but he's just not got damage. He's not got tankiness either. So yes, he gets a nice little kind of pick onto Aaron, but why are you going for this pink ward? There's no real need, as the rest of Enclave now jump in. There's the knock-up. He does get the ult off of the Yasuo. Rift picks himself up another kill, and that is going to be a very, very dead DanXD.
So DanXD has given up on laning against this Darius and has gone for the infamous River Poppy. It's not quite working out the same way as River Shen does.
I don't think he's XDing anymore.
No,
I don't. I think he's just Dan, who's another player in the UK scene. Yeah, which makes things casting very confusing.
Yeah, it also shows just how unimaginative the players in the UK scene.
I was gonna say, like you get you get names like like Dan and Aaron. It's like,
well, Aaron's Vietnamese, so it doesn't really count.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. But yeah, unfortunately for Hyperion, they are not looking so hot. 4,000 gold behind. They are getting a little bit of chip damage onto this bot lane turret, but Rift in this top side is just infallible, and he's just nothing. Who are you going to send to him? He's got a Triforce at at 15 minutes. What are you going to do?
I'm trying to figure out if they can actually defend that tier 2 tower, because unless they commit demo up there as well, and there's no guarantee that they don't both just die, I don't know how they can really continue forward, and it just gives Enclave free roam in this jungle. They're going to push in as pretty much a 4-man unit. You can see that Hado and Bendy even had started moving up, so they're able to get this vision, and now this makes it just so much easier for Monkiss to start playing around the map. The second you see demo open that top side, cool, let's make a play in the bot side, let's make a play in the mid lane.
Now they did get the Mountain Drake, so a little bit of a nice little pick up there for the side of Hyperion. Does give them a little bit of extra turret pushing if they get to turrets is the question there, but it delays the game a little bit. Now there's no easy objective for the side of Enclave to take. They've nothing really to centralize around. They do have the Rift Herald that they did take, and they will be looking to put that somewhere, but they've got plenty of time on that.
And this is kind of the problem that we've seen when top lane tower is the first one to go down. It's kind of difficult to force the issue with rotating your bot lane up and around and all that kind of stuff, because Rift, if he goes up against Yussa and Snuggly, has no real guarantee that he's actually going to get a turret. It's more likely that you're going to just lose the turret, and it makes it very hard to continue forward, but maybe you can go for the aggressive play.
Yeah, here we go. Ultimates committed by both supports as we see the Unbreakable and the Glacial Fissure coming out of Snuggly. Oh, nice little sidestep. Will he have enough time to get his stand behind me? Unfortunately not. Hado says, back to the spawn with you. Enclave. Again, it wasn't a great engage, but because they're able to make these plays, because they know Rifty is just keeping everyone at bay, they're able to make them work.
Yeah, it was Monkus hoping to catch the flash coming out from Snuggly, but Snuggly holds on to it, decides to just accept his fate, and that's going to be the second turret going down for Enclave without really much coming in the way from Hyperion. They haven't looked like they have much life in them. They've kind of just been falling further and further behind, and it's been Demo who has to try and make the plays to help out his laners, but has been so teetered on trying to connect with DanXD in the top lane and help out his situation that he hasn't had that moment to shine in anywhere else on the map.
And that's really it, really, isn't it? The Sejuani can go in, commit a lot to it, because she knows that Trundle has to be top. Yeah. If he's not top, they lose another turret anyway. So it's just it's such a kind of, a high reward, low risk play that it just works so well, as we see, a little bit of a pause, obviously some, issues with the teams. And have you been paying attention?
I have.
Have you done your homework?
Have you done your homework?
Yeah.
Yeah. No more questions. No further questions.
No further questions needed, my boys. No, I think overall, this has just been a story of what we thought it would be. Given that Darius lock-in, I think it's just been outclassed in every scenario so far. I don't think any lanes have been kind of massively performing from Hyperion, maybe apart from the mid lane.
Yeah, and you can just kind of see it here. It's Hado and Bendy are able to get the aggression forward, which forces Hyperion to back away. And once Monkus shows up, it's easy pickings. And look, there is zero vision, apart from a couple of words around mid lane, for Hyperion right now. They have no idea what is happening around the map, and it just makes it easy for Enclave to make the plays like this. And I think a lot of it comes back to, as well, as we're saying, where Demo is the guy that needs to be getting vision, but he's too scared to move past his own jungle, because if you move into the river, there's a very high chance you're going to wander into a Darius or a Yasuo, or something is going to be waiting in those brushes, and it's just not, well, I want to say it's not worth it, but you just can't give away kills like that into this team.
Do we think that Dan right now is a crutch for Hyperion, because it makes it so easy to drift? Actually, we'll talk about it after the game, as Rifty is in again.
Oh my god. I think he's dead. Yeah, he's 100% dead. That goes on over to Aaron, and that is the Ignite used. But it kind of speaks volumes to what you were just saying there, and they had no idea what was going on. They have no idea where Rift is. They have no idea what to do. And just before kind of Scoundrel left us from the cast, it's what do you Dan do? And I feel like Hyperion, you're gonna have to think of something else other than put him on Poppy.
But this is the thing, it's been the fallback for DanXD, so I don't really know what he has in the wheelhouse that he can churn out to answer for Rift on an aggressive pick like Darius. He has been just kind of the tank player.
But like you say, it's a fallback, but at the same time, nothing was banned. Nothing was banned against him. It's not like as if like like the Aurelion Sol we saw in for Diablos and for Zeph. It's not something that like, okay, my hand's been forced, I have to play this, but I'm really good at it. No pressure was put on him whatsoever. It was like, okay, we're gonna leave Dan, or we're gonna leave Rifty the counter pick.
Yeah.
And that's literally screwed him. It's like, oh, I'm going to pick Poppy. And they're like, yeah, cool, we knew you would pick Poppy.
You weren't wrong.
No, but I shouldn't say it. But where do you go? And, like, the Poppy is 50 CS down, 5 kills. Like,
but this was our biggest fault with DanXD, even in the ESL Prem from last split, was just he didn't have anything. He didn't have a champ that would be other than Poppy, and every single time he'd get destroyed on Poppy, and every single time he kept picking Poppy, and once again he's getting destroyed on Poppy.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter that he misses the Q there, as Rift is just going to be able to keep chasing him down. Has the Apparent, so much damage, and that is just not fair. It's not fair. I think there's animal rights issues here or something.
Is a Yordle? I don't think a Yordle's an animal.
I was thinking more the player, but
okay, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few flashes going on in the mid lane here, but top lane even.
Yeah, top lane goes in, and it's just going to be a very easy kill. Aaron, though, does get shut down by Snuggly, the savior of Hyperion right now, as he picks himself up a kill. Flash in to get the pillar, does drop down the subjugate as well, so it looks like the side Hyperion really want to make this work. There are the flashes being blown. Enclave overstep a little bit. Hyperion pick up some nice kills, but it's a flash in the pan.
Yeah, but they could have turned the Enclave could have turned that around. They had Lucian moving up. They decided to counter that because, hey, look, towers are better than kills. You've got Darius now taking 2 towers in that bottom lane, and Bendy is trying to force that third one as well in the mid lane. So even though you're getting 2 kills, Enclave are still picking up what they want around the map.
Exactly, a flash in the pan that is a very, very dark shadow of Enclave hovering over Hyperion, and it's just, I don't want to say it obviously because it's not very fair on the teams and anything can happen in League of Legends, but it does feel like it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. And I think that it's 8k gold already, and we're only 20 minutes into the game. Like, this is something that you used to see maybe 30 to 35 minutes
now, to be perfectly, we have seen Schalke throw away a 8k gold lead against Fnatic in one fail swoop. Unfortunately, Hyperion are not running a Kaiser funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only issue. But it has been done before at pro level. Yes. So there is always hope, even if it's very, very small.
Yeah, it is. It's a slim margin that really Hyperion have, but you got to play like you still got that opportunity. And I think it's just kind of some of the basics that would help them get back into it are just missing. If you look right now, I mean, they've got all these wards that are sitting in their inventories, but they're still not able to get them really down and control those areas once the vision goes down. You can see, like, Munkus is here to clear it out straight away, and there's one of your wards already gone. And it's just, this seems to be happening time and time again, where, yes, they're going, okay, we get the vision down, but there are no... They're not able to protect that vision at any point in time, or even go and look for a pick on someone clearing out those wards.
Baron is live. No real vision for the side of Enclave, nor is there any for Hyperion on that dragon, but it looks like they're going to take the dragon. They have got a mountain apiece now, but they may just set their sights onto that big purple worm just down the river. But fairness to Hyperion, they have taken the initiative and they put down some vision, so they have a little bit of time, but not a lot.
Yeah, it's gone.
Scuttle is still there. Scuttle is still there.
They got that for a little bit of time, but it's not really. So Scuttle is helpful in some scenarios, but when you're facing a team that's on red side and they can just blast cone over the wall, it's not ideal. You kind of need a bit more in that area, and Hyperion are definitely lacking. But I think at the same time, it is only 22 minutes into the game. You can see that there's not really many tanky members on the side of Enclave at the moment, so if you are to commit to that, that's a big risk you are taking, and that would be the opportunity for Hyperion to find some semblance of control back in this game. You're definitely looking to wait and see if Rift can get several members to commit to that bottom side of the map, and then maybe look and see what you can do.
So, Enclave kind of slowed down a little bit. They haven't. Now, I know that sounds kind of sarcastic, but in a genuine sense, because they were going, you know, kind of 90 miles an hour, and now all of a sudden we're down to 50. And it's like, okay, now we're slowing down. But this is kind of what Hyperion need for the next, like, I'd nearly say 15 minutes. They need a constant stall where nothing happens, and then they get the items to actually take a team fight. Unfortunately, it's just going to take that long to get there.
Well, it's kind of... It's more Enclave are playing this smartly because you can't really commit overly heavily until you got, you know, your waves in position, you've got the ward control down, and that's why we're seeing that the foot take off the pedal just an inch, because they want to try and get vision control around Baron. They want to make sure Rift is safe when he's going for this split push. They want to make sure that they're in control of everything as the game progresses forward. Again, it's only 24 minutes into this game, so yes, the Baron is something that they can fight over, but they know Hyperion aren't going to come and contest it, so let's make sure that we're safe to commit to it before we really do anything.
And big items as well, going to be finished up as well. Yasuo gets himself his IE and Phantom Dancer, as well as a extra BF sword just in case. You know, the Bork Black Cleaver is finished up on Lucian. You've got the Zeke's Convergence as well for the Alistair, as well as a stopwatch just for extra insurance, just in case he does get caught out a little bit. it's, you know, and now the finished Titanic Hydra for Rift, you know, as if he wasn't ridiculous enough at this stage in the game. And it is slowly but surely a slow kind of, you know, grind towards a win. But second tier item, or a second tier being stacked by a Yusa, as well as the, you know, the Luden's Echo and the Zhonya's for the Zoe. So ADM has got potential to blow someone up, and also has potential to be followed up with the poke as well. But, like he said, it's 11,000 gold. It's such a crazy... Actually, no, it's not a lie. It's 9,000 gold. But it's such a huge, crazy margin that it's just going to take so long. And as I say that, though, we're going to see an engage. Here's Yasuo going on top of it as the Glacial Fissure just slows down everybody. They're going to land the Sleepy Bubble Trouble onto the Yasuo, but it's just not enough as DanXD tries to play hero. He will get one, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. But what will DanXD be able to do? 2-for-1 trade in favor of Enclave. This Darius is just too damn big. Not quite sure why the ult didn't work there, but he gets himself a double kill, soon to be a triple kill. And that is going to be easy pickings for the side of Enclave. And ironically enough, the only one who survives is Dan.
Yeah. I was looking at that fight being like, I know Rift has to be somewhere if they're fighting this fight. And then I just saw the kills popping up on the screen.
Like Jaws.
Oh, that's where he is.
It's literally like Jaws. It's like, oh, we can fight this.
But I mean, it's an easy pickup for Enclave. I mean, yes, it was Aaron that went down, but the sole member to fall in what was the fight that Hyperion were looking for, it was so like, I don't want to keep saying it's easy, but if you look at it here, like, Hyperion are the ones looking for the fight. They get the Great Engage. It's the multiple members locked up in that Glacial Fissure, and you're like, this is it. This could be the turnaround. But Snuggly barely escapes on the backside, and then you can just see over here that it's just going to be Bendy dashing away, and there's Rift coming in and just destroying everyone.
Oh, double apprehend. I'm not quite sure why the ultimate didn't quite proc any damage there, but it literally doesn't matter because he's got so much more on the backside. He goes back in. Not happening today, Lucio. You are not stealing my triple kill. And Dan, I feel like he kind of felt like he did the right thing because he was just like, I got the S. Oh, they're all dead.
Well, see, this is the thing. They didn't have vision of where Darius was. Because, again, coming back to it, they've committed all of their vision to Hyperion. Have committed all their vision to Baron to try and keep some semblance of control there. But it just meant that Darius got a free walk in, and Rift was like, thank you very much. I'll take the triple.
The classic suffocation of a 1-3-1 split push right now with Baron buff, an incredibly fed Yasuo, and an even more incredibly fed Darius, who can build two different items at the same time because he's just got that much money. And what do you do right now? Poppy can't even deal with the minions, let alone with Darius.
Yeah, I mean, I like you know it's bad when Enclave are just walking straight into your base.
And we'll see now how it all kind of goes in. There is the Poppy ultimate used with the Glacial Prison used straight onto it as well. DanXD just taking so much damage. A triple apprehend is going to bring everybody into the fight. Darius picks himself up another double kill. And it's only two people left. You've got Yusa and Demo, but overall, not much they're going to be able to do here. A dominating performance from Enclave. And they take the game one, and honestly, it's very hard to see Hyperion coming back from that.
Yeah, and that's what I said at the start, was the only time I've ever seen someone like Flaxish, who is one of the best top laners in this tournament at the moment, really struggle, was against Rift on Darius. And then Rift gets Darius and goes 11-0.
Yeah.
It was blindside drafting for me. I just don't think that Hyperion really had much idea behind. I mean, maybe they were constricted to Poppy in the top lane. Maybe that's a weakness of their team, but you just played straight into Darius, and that just rickrolled your team, like absolutely decimated. I mean, I don't even mean it with a pun because of his ability name, but he actually just decimated the team. And honestly, from the get-go, from that level 1 kill as well, or whatever it was, level 4 kill, whatever, I just knew it was over for Hyperion. I didn't think there was much way they could come back into it. Rifty just took over, dominated left, right, and center, even in team fights where Darius is classically not as good. Just absolutely crushed his opposition. Yeah, I think at this point it's looking like a very clean Enclave 2-0.
Yeah, and once the Poppy started getting killed in the top lane, it just looked like Hyperion didn't know what to do. They were running around like headless chickens. It was Demo was running up the top lane to try and help him, and then was like, no, I got to get back down here, and then was running off, and they were just losing stuff right, left, and center.
And that's something as well, like Demo tried his hardest. He really, really did. You can see that he tries to go and make these plays work. Like he does a complete runaround here, and you're thinking, that's perfect. He's wasted so much time, and they may be able to get something out of it. But the rest of his team just wasn't quite there. They were losing in, bot lane. Mid lane was going okay-ish, but not great. Top lane was just an absolute black hole of resources that he had to commit to. Otherwise, they would have lost the game even faster.
Yeah, and you can see Rifty dunking literally everybody in his path right now. He really was that standout performer, and you can see he even jumps in for the triple kill.
Well, and then says, wait a minute, I didn't get my triple kill. Come back here.
His apprehends this game. I don't like. He got that one, which was beautiful, but he also got like multiple 2 to 3 man apprehends. It was. Oh, I don't like Darius.
Yeah.
Darius is definitely one of those champions that if you're playing against him and he's fair, it feels like he's the most overpowered champion in the game. And I think, but it was a good matchup for him. Like he was gifted a lane when it was so hard for Poppy to even survive in it.
I was gonna say it's Monkey's birthday, and that was the gift. It was like, here's an incredibly fed top laner. That is your gift from Hyperion, because it just didn't look.
And now
good.
what does Hyperion do? Do they go back to the drawing board with their draft and say, well, okay, let's just literally ban every single top laner that's bad against, you're good against Poppy? Like that limits their draft so much. I mean,
yeah, and let's just leave open like, what don't you? Because you gotta ban Aatrox because they don't play it. Then you ban Darius, and then you're like, oh, we can get 1 ban before we left every other power pick open. It's like,
I don't know. It's such an impossible question right now for Hyperion that. It's almost like I'd almost nearly accept you go with a 100% cheese strat. And you go, obviously cheese is something that we haven't said in a while given the current meta, but you go with something that's just completely off the wall. It has a, 1 in 100 chance of winning or doing well, but you gotta try something different. If you don't do anything different, it's just gonna be the exact same situation.
So what you're saying is, Donner.
Well, see, it's Enclave who play that.
Yeah, true.
But it's not even cheesy. It's not even cheesy.
It's meta now.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I just think you gotta throw your playbook and just throw it out the window because it's not going to work. Poppy is just going to get wrecked, even if you ban the Darius.
Yeah, and so just finally, before we move on here, was there anything Hyperion did do well? Like, is there anything that they could take from that game as a learning resource and say, wait a second, this worked okay for us?
I think to give them their due, it was just kind of, once the Poppy went down, they were like, okay, how do we try and cover up everything? And there wasn't a way of covering up the gaping hole that was now in the top lane. But I think if you're looking at, like, Demo had a good gank in the mid lane, he was able to turn that around. It wasn't like there were opportunities where it looked good. It did have times where, cool, like even the fight that we had here, that could have turned out great if they just weren't so far behind. And it's just Rift comes in, destroys everyone. Like, if you take Rift out of that fight, Bendy's nearly dead. You've just got Aaron who's gone down. Like, that could have been the fight for them, but it's just the problem is that Rift is so far ahead. So it's not like they're out of it entirely. They have flashes there. It's just a case of not losing so heavily on one side of the map.
And like you said, a flash in the pan was probably a good way to describe Hyperion's performance there. It definitely is going to require some building blocks to be replaced in the right positions to go into this next draft, and maybe even give Dan that last pick on red side, look for a good top lane matchup for him, because that was definitely that glaring weakness. Now, we're going to cut to a very quick break. When we're back, we may have the final game of the night. It really depends if Hyperion can get their stuff together. We'll see you soon.